Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Monday Live update. I hope you're doing well. Those of you that are joining in right now, let me know where you are tuning in. So what we're going to do today is I wanted to give a bit of an update on the litigation that is currently pending with respect to the proclamations, the two proclamations, as well as the DV lottery litigation. So I want to provide some updates here, as well as answer a few questions. So once again, I know a lot of you have been concerned about different people that are affected by those different classes. So as you know, there's a lot of there's quite a few lawsuits that we filed, and I wanted to give you an update, a bit of confusion in this area. So we'll talk about that, the litigation pending, what to expect, key dates, and also a few things about DV lottery as well, which is part of another lawsuit. So once again, let's dive right in a few seconds. All right, so let me see. Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. Very good, very good. Let's start with a summary of the lawsuits that are currently pending. Welcome, Ainra, Kimmy, Giselle. Let me highlight a few of you guys. I appreciate all of you. Orma, Ainra, Kimi, welcome. So let's talk about the lawsuits that are pending. So as you know, I want to summarize a few things. So as you know, the first proclamation of April essentially banned quite a few classes of family members that are not able to join their family members in the US, as well as a few employment-based categories. That was April 22nd, the first proclamation. Literally a week after that proclamation, I made a kind of a timeline that I'm going to go through right now, and I'm going to kind of explain to you where things stand right now. Hey Cindy, hey Lupe, hey Sonia. Here we go. Highlight a few of you guys. Here we go. Sonia, Daisy, all our favorite followers. And once again, if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to our channel. And click that like to make sure YouTube is going to share that video with more people that are interested in this content. And once again, I'm Jacob Sapochnik, if you're here for the first time, and I'm an immigration attorney based in San Diego, California, and I represent clients in all 50 states. So let's jump right into the lawsuit information. So like I said, after the April 22nd proclamation, the first lawsuit that was filed was on April 28th by the American Immigration Lawyers Association, as well as a few other nonprofits. And again, the idea behind that was, remember, the whole reasoning behind the proclamation was the government said that these immigrants are impacting the economic situation in the United States. They are taking jobs, and as the economy is sliding into a recession, the government wants to protect American citizens. And that was the main reasoning behind the first proclamation. Again, there was no data behind it. They just said that. So the first lawsuit filed on April 28th, the injunction specifically was targeting specifically those kids that are going to age out, and they're not going to be able to finish the process, and because of the proclamation. And so they filed an injunction that was successful, and they were able to allow certain class of people to still get their visas, specifically those that age out. So that was the first one. Then we had the second proclamation that came about in June 22nd. That was another proclamation that expanded the ban for H visas, L visas, as well as H-2Bs and certain J visas. And once again, they used very generic data saying that H-1B workers are stealing jobs. They're specifically saying that H-1B workers and L visa workers are hurting the economy because they're taking very key jobs from the economy. And again, there was no data, there was no research, there was nothing, there was no analysis that was provided. They just essentially issued this proclamation. And you know what is interesting is that recently, when they released the fee increase data, they had research in there, and DHS put a statement in there specifically from the government. And let me read you that statement. The statement specifically says that DHS knows that immigrants make significant contribution to the U.S. economy, and this final rule is no way intended to impede or limit legal immigration. DHS rule is no way intended to reduce, limit, or preclude immigration to any specific immigration benefit. So this is coming from DHS, the government, the agency that is controlled by Trump. Specifically saying that immigrants make significant contribution to the U.S. economy. This is just part of their rule, their fee increase rule, and they say that in this fee increase rule. And again, the whole entire proclamation says the entire opposite. They're saying that immigrants may be at risk. So anyway, so this happened on the 22nd, and then on July 17th, there was another lawsuit filed by AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, as well as Justice Action Center, and a few other nonprofits, specifically including DV lottery plaintiffs, family sponsors that are being impacted, they cannot bring their family members, as well as employers and multinational companies that were impacted by the second proclamation. So remember, second lawsuit is now filed on July 17. Those are intended to seek an injunction to basically stop the government from implementing this this rule. So July 31st, the plaintiffs filed a motion for an injunction to stop this proclamation. This really happened right after the second one. So that was the second lawsuit that was filed, and that was an injunction specifically focused on the State Department, trying to stop the State Department from not issuing visas, and that was also very helpful for DV lottery winners that were also part of this. That was not specifically for the DV lottery. There are separate lawsuits, which I'll mention in a second, but that was also something that they wanted to stop the State Department from not issuing visas even after they reopened the embassy. As you know, embassies are now being reopened, but we still know some embassies that are refusing to issue visas because they're saying that there's a travel ban on Schengen, the 14-day travel ban. So there's many embassies, and I got a lot of comments from you guys. As well as members of our Facebook group that are saying that even though embassies are open, consulates are open, the ones that are open, some of them are still not refusing to issue visas or set appointments, stating that there's a travel ban from those countries, which is wrong because that's not, again, it's totally outside of their scope to issue visas. So what's happening right now? A lot of these cases have been consolidated into one big case under Judge Mehta in the District of Columbia, and the judge is going to hear the case on August 27th at 1 p.m. Key date to remember, August 27th at 1 p.m. There's going to be a hearing. Few of these cases were consolidated, and he's going to be the same judge, Judge Mehta from the District of Columbia, is going to hear all these cases, and he's going to rule on this injunction if to grant it or no. Essentially, the government is using 8 USC 1182, stating that they want to prohibit the entry of immigrants to the United States because they're creating economical hardship and obviously impacting U.S. workers. But none of the proclamation, the first or the second one, was not backed out by any financial data, any economical reports, any university research that can support the fact that the immigrants are hurting our economy and stealing jobs. And in fact, like I showed you before, and I'll show it again for those that are joining right now, this is a copy from DHS report on fee increase, specifically saying that DHS knows that immigrants make a significant contribution to the U.S. economy. They say that, contradicting basically what the Trump administration is saying on their proclamation. So again, key date August 27 is the hearing on the injunction. Now, another thing that is important, that the second proclamation specifically limits L visas, multi-country nationals, executive coming in, is in complete violation of the World Trade Organization rules, basically saying that opening free trade between the US and other countries, as well as the General Agreement in Services Treaty, also known as GATS, that specifically says that they have to admit multinational managers between countries that are signatory to this treaty, the GATS treaty, and Trump was in direct violation of that treaty with its second proclamation, which again is going to be a whole different lawsuit in the making, but it's going to be also mentioned in this particular hearing in August. So all these violations that are happening, completely reckless, and of course not only impacting our relationship with other countries, but also impacting the situation of people to be able to continue to do their jobs and be able to conduct business on an international level. So what's going to happen here with schedule of hearings? So Judge Mehta is going to set up that hearing on 8/27. The government has until August 18 to submit an opposition to the brief. So they're going to put their arguments as to why they think there shouldn't be an injunction. And then the plaintiffs have until August 24th to submit their arguments, the final arguments, before the hearing on August 27th. So again, this hearing on August 27th is intended to issue the major injunction that will stop the two proclamations. But is this going to help? It's going to help a lot of people if it passes. It's going to help, obviously, the family members. They're going to be able to get visas. It's going to help the L visas, H visas, everybody else to start getting visas. But is it going to help DV lottery applicants? Not necessarily, because even if they're going to stop, the embassies are going to start reopening and start issuing visas, it may be too late for DV lottery. Therefore, there are two other lawsuits that were filed, two other class actions that were filed on August 4th. One of them is, let me see the name of that. It's Fonjong versus DHS, was filed by a few private attorneys. And the idea of this litigation specifically for DV lottery winners is not only just to enjoin and put a restraining order on this particular proclamation, but also to try to extend the deadline for the DV lottery to sometime next year beyond September 30th of 2020, because that's going to be a killer for all these DV lottery winners. They're not going to be able to finish the process, right? So that lawsuit is coming up for a hearing as well in August, and I'll keep you posted what happens with the DV lottery, the separate DV lottery lawsuit as well. So the good news is that litigation is moving forward. The government is interested. I mean, there's a need for this to be resolved. There's a lot of groups of plaintiffs that are coming together. All these lawsuits are kind of somehow going to be, in a way, consolidated. The good news is this one judge is going to hear all of them and is going to have one perspective on all this, and it's going to get all the evidence. So it's going to be not multiple categories. So we're hoping that this is going to help. And I'll keep you posted. Like I said, a lot of people are waiting, whether they're immigrants, whether they're DV lottery winners overseas. And so, that's pretty much what's happening with litigation. And again, what is really important to know is that a lot of the things that I've done have no basis. There's no basis in any of these proclamations. There's no evidence that economy is being affected. On the contrary, H-1B labor is actually helping boost the economy. And you see that DHS themselves are attesting to that fact. So it is going to be a very important litigation, because if they're going to prevail, it's going to open the door for for other solutions. Because, like I said, it doesn't look like restrictions on immigrations are going to ease anytime soon. So, just want to give you a quick update on this Monday afternoon about litigation. Some good news are coming ahead, and we're hoping to keep our fingers crossed for the end of August to see what's going to happen. So, once again, Please keep posting your comments even after the live video is over, and I'm going to go back and answer those questions. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you're here for the first time, give it a big like. And also, you can join our Facebook group. There's a link in the description of this video where we continue to update you on things that we don't necessarily share on YouTube in a more private and safe manner. Join the Facebook group. It's right there. And I'll also be able to answer your questions. Sometimes we do live videos there and all that. So once again, thank you for joining. You guys are the best. I wanted to thank you for tuning in every week. We produce videos every single week, multiple videos. It's not easy to do that, just so you know. I have to do it sometimes late at night. Sometimes, I'm tired, but I still want to do that. I want to provide the information for you based on your questions. So make sure you post your comments, and I'll be able to, I'm not going to have so much time to answer questions today because I have a meeting that I'm attending right now, but I wanted to do this live before the end of the day to make sure that you're updated because people are asking me about litigation. I'll do probably another one by the end of the week where I'll update you about 751s. They fixed the system. Green cards printing is coming back from what we know and all the good stuff. So I'll provide more updates very soon. So once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a loyal subscriber. This channel would not be possible without you. Make sure you share this video. And again, if you're here for the first time, give it a big like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. So thanks a lot. More videos are coming up this week, and I'll keep you posted.